Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekend review for Module 2. Here we are, Module 2. You've already gone through Module 1. One of the things I like to do in the weekend review is just kind of summarize some of the things that we did last week, see if there's any kind of loose ends, and then talk a little bit about what we're doing this week. One of the things I also want to stress to you is to make sure that you're watching these videos. Watch any video that I post in the course news. Hopefully, some of your questions will be answered in those videos, especially as we get situations that might come up within the week, like last week where I threw up an extra video in the course news about our learning activity or our homework assignment for the week. So please watch the videos. You never know. There might be some extra credits secretly embedded within these weekly videos. So do watch everything in the course news. As far as the homework goes, I think so far I've heard great, good responses on everybody with the homework. There were a few folks that were texting me over the weekend. I say only about 3 of you that had some questions, and I think I was able to quickly address those. So I think that went really well. As far as grading goes, Wednesday is generally my grading day. So all of those assignments that have come in from the module, which come in usually it's Sunday around midnight, we get a lot of submissions at that point. Sometimes we have some late submissions that come in as well on Monday. So I set aside Wednesday as my grading date. So take a look. Hopefully on Wednesdays you will see your grade books will be updated with the previous week's assignments in there and feedback where appropriate for those assignments. So that's a little bit kind of about the structure and kind of what we're doing. Remember too, kind of about other communication as far as we're talking about that. Um, the best way to get a hold of me is text message. Please text me. You got my cell phone number. It's in the course syllabus. Virtual office is only for those big global questions that you want addressed in the week in review in this particular video right here. And we'll pull that up in just a minute and talk about some of those questions. Um, all right, well, let's go ahead and do that now. But again, remember, text message me is the best way to get a hold of me, and I can usually get back to you within a few minutes. Well, let's take a look at some of the questions that were generated from last week in our course news or in our virtual office. Let's check that out here. So we'll just go to discussions and virtual office, and let's see what we have here. Okay, we've got. Um, Couple of questions here. Unable to locate rubrics for assignments. I utilize rubrics to ensure that as a checklist. Some assignments will have a great question there, and that is from Kristen. So great question on that rubrics. I like rubrics. They won't be for every assignment though. They will be for our more detailed assignments, especially the larger paper at the end, and for our case studies. So take a look at that. For things like the learning activity, those are pretty straightforward. For our topic essays that we have every week, those should be relatively straightforward too. If we see that I need a rubric for that, I might produce one. But just remember you're writing a 5-paragraph essay and you're following all of those conventions. You're also following APA format as well. But there will be some rubrics again, usually for those larger assignments. The next question we have was Stephanie was struggling with the interest rate question from the topic essay. Well, hopefully, Stephanie, you found the right answer because looking at the textbook pretty much addresses that right around page 336. So hopefully you found kind of the definitions of those interest rates. Now, just the textbook alone is not going to be enough, usually in general, to complete the topic essay. You're going to need to go out and grab a couple extra, or at least one extra reference on that. Let me give you guys kind of a nice little clue as far as looking at references. What I would recommend is going to another finance textbook. An introductory finance textbook should help in a lot of cases. And there's even other, oh boy, there's probably a half a dozen healthcare finance textbooks out there. And there's probably, I don't know, maybe 100 general introduction to finance textbooks out there. So you could kind of have your go-to textbook outside of this textbook, which I'm pointing to right here, this one, outside of this textbook. So you kind of have your two references at the ready every week. You know, you got your your other textbook that I don't know what it might be, but there's a ton of them out there that you find one, maybe on the internet or at your local library or what have you. Even Google Scholar, you might be able to find one. Some of these principles they don't have a code date, they don't go stale. Um, Nominal interest rate has been nominal interest rate for 100 years. So, if you find a textbook that's from, oh, I don't know, even from 2000, that's maybe on Google Scholar, use that. So, okay, there's just a little, I guess, a little tip that might make it a little easier for you to help with these topic essays every week. All right, so that kind of addresses those questions there. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what we're doing this week, and we'll pull up the content for this week. Um, we're moving on to risk and return. This chapter will be a little bit more conceptual. It's for some of us, where the time value money, usually we all have a certain connection with that. This is will involve more with assessment of risk and portfolios, and you're going to do some pretty special things with math. So relax, but don't worry, it will be pretty easy. Again, not too difficult, but even something called standard deviation, which you'll know how to do by the end of this module, will demystify it for you, and you'll be able to impress your friends and neighbors that you can now calculate a standard deviation. And it's not very hard at all. Just kind of it takes a little bit of a uh, plug and chug, as I like to say. You have to kind of plug in the numbers and just kind of do the process over and over again a few times, and then square root it, and then you're kind of all done. But don't worry, there's a whole lecture devoted to that, so please watch that. But yeah, that will be kind of the some of the topics that we'll be covering this week as we look at risk and return. We'll have our normal readings and presentations. We'll have our topic essay. This week will be on the CAPM, or capital asset pricing model. I want you guys to have a nice conceptual understanding of this. I don't necessarily want you to be able to calculate it. So again, just kind of follow what this essay is, and make sure that you're addressing these areas right in here. That's kind of like your mini rubric. Make sure you're covering that you're also covering it in an APA style. These are some of the things that I look at when I'm grading. If I look at it and I see that, well, you haven't discussed maybe the pros and the cons of CAP-M, you're going to get some points off. If you didn't use the 5-paragraph essay format, you're going to get some points off. So make sure you just basically check marking off that, and you're having a reasonable grammar. And I'm not going to be a grammar Nazi, but reasonable grammar, reasonable sentence and paragraph structure, and you're going to be just fine and get really decent, very good grades on that. All right, so let's take a look at also, we're going to be doing our learning activity for the week. This is going to be some of those questions I talked about, uh, where actually the problems I talked about, such as you're going to actually calculate standard deviation on some investment options. So, but don't worry, it's pretty easy as long as you're reading the book and looking at the lectures and following along with me on that. Now, there is one thing I'm going to do this week, and I should have that video ready for you on Wednesday, is I'm going to have a semi-weekly series called Homework Help. So I'll be pushing that out, where I'll kind of give you some hints for the homework. May not be for every homework, but for ones that are probably a little bit more complex, I think I'm going to do that. Like this week is a little bit more complex. So for example, I'm going to pull up the homework question and kind of reference you to how to solve that. I'm not going to solve it for you, but give you some strong indications on how you're going to approach each one of those problems. So hopefully that helps as well. Again, look for homework help to come out on Wednesdays as well. All right, and then lastly, we have our first reflection, our progress journal in there. When you do the progress journal, make sure, of course, you're meeting these minimum criteria. 100 words. I just don't want a sentence or two. I want you to talk to me, say something. And what I try to do is I try to give you some prompts in there as far as what to say. This week, I know I've had some of you in previous courses, and I may have just had you in accounting. So you can For those of you that have kind of already done this introduction piece about tell me about yourself, so you don't have to go into a lot of depth on that, but just kind of remind me. And I want to know a little bit about your status at the college. Are you full or part-time? Um, when are you going to be graduating? Things of that nature. And also, how is the semester going for you? I mean, you just completed your first 8 weeks. You're in your second 8 weeks now. How are things going? Many of you might be new to the program and are still getting acclimated to all this. So let me know how you're doing. And then also let me know what's the best way for you to learn. I mean, do you like the videos? Do you like kind of the walkthroughs, or do you prefer just kind of reading the textbook? Let me know, and then I can, from your feedback, I do like to shape the course actively. Every course I run is different for the same material. I always seem to be changing things and reacting to what you guys want from me to make the course tailor-made for you. So. All right, so that kind of covers what we're doing for this week. I am going to be, let's jump back to the course home again. And I am going to be very soon, look for another news announcement, but I do need to find out who is graduating this spring. Some of you are graduating seniors, and this is one of your last courses that you'll be taking, and you'll be graduating in May. I need to know who you are because we're going to have to tailor the course for you a little bit in that you're going to lose some time on the course because you have to have your final grades due so you can walk across that stage and get your diploma. So just stay tuned. I'm probably going to collect that information maybe in a discussion board, but look for that coming this week in week 2, where you're basically going to say, hey, Chris, I'm graduating. And then the group of you, I think there might be maybe 4 to 6 of you in this particular class. I'll communicate to you as a group as far as how we're going to shape the course. Okay. And for those of you who are hearing that are jealous that these people are finishing, don't worry, you'll be there before you know it. This time really does fly when you're in the program. As long as you're consistently taking a course every 8 weeks, you're done before you know it. You just it is kind of amazing, and you're walking across that stage and getting your diploma. All right, well that concludes the week in review for Module 2, and as always, thanks for watching.